Alright, welcome to Stargazer, where we gaze to the stars and look at the latest in science fiction and how it relates to our small little planet Earth here. Now, you probably heard of Twilight Zone from your grandparents or your great-grandparents or your great-great-grandparents if you're still alive. Yeah. And you're like, wow, that's a great thing to put in a museum, but it's not going to relate to my world because I got Game of Thrones, I got Walking Dead. I'm not into that old stuff. Let me tell you, though, that the old is becoming new.
Yes. Because
we have information, and big information, that CBS All Access, the streaming service that is competing with Netflix and Hulu, they are releasing their own Twilight Zone with a producer of Jordan Peele, an acclaimed comedian from the Key and Peele duo that I know and love, and most recently he directed Get Out and Us. I combined Get Out and Us right there. Anywho, so not only has he made a name in comedy, but horror. And a lot of those two genres right there, I think you can agree with me, Rocco, they thrive on taking people's expectations and playing with them. And that's what Twilight Zone is all about. Totally. Having these what-if scenarios and making you think about society, life, the universe, and just about everything. Right. And get this. You do not need CBS All Access to watch the first episode. Yes. Because for some reason they felt generous, and the first episode, which is 55 minutes long, is completely free on YouTube. It's completely free, so you have no excuse but to see it. Yes. And yeah, it's called The Comedian, and very simply put it, it's about a comedian. A comedian who, I'm just going to say it outright, I'm a nice guy, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. The guy sucked. He was not a good comedian. He was too factual. He didn't really bring that personal edge. But then he saw this very prominent, very famous comedian at the back of the club that he was in. And he pretty much tells him that to be a comedian is to be everything. So he pretty much is saying that nothing in his life matters. Everything in his life, and he does have a pretty nice life, and he admitted that. But to make life better for him, it's to be that successful, funny comedian that people will like. And going along with that Twilight Zone sort of theme, they play with that, and now he's suddenly funny. He's suddenly hysterical, and everyone's laughing at his jokes. And not only does he have this great life, but now he has great jokes. But it turns out that every person or thing that he talks about, every subject matter in his comedy, in his stand-up material, disappears, proving that as he gets more successful, as he gets more up and up in the ladder, he's losing himself while becoming famous. Proving that, you know what, maybe fame and fortune or whatever, it's not really all as cracked up as it really seems to be. So Rocco, what was your opinion on this episode, The Comedian, and just the Twilight Zone reboot as a whole?
I think what was great about having The Comedian right off the bat as the free episode to watch, to lure people in to subscribe to CBS All Access, it's definitely the most unique episode of this anything to be with the Twilight stamp on. I've never seen like a Twilight Zone even. I can't imagine one that's even close to in concept to this. So that was very good in terms of giving the audience something different right off the bat, something that gives you a different feel for this brand than we've seen in the last. Because we've had two remakes of Twilight Zone in the past. We had one in the 80s, and then we had one in the 2000s. It was on UPN. That was the network that aired the last one. But this one, I definitely feel there's a lot that's good about it. I like the cast is really well done. The only thing though I'm a little concerned about as far as this episode goes, I mean from what I've read about the series so far, is that they are making these episodes longer than, because traditionally Twilight Zone episodes are usually a half hour, and ironically enough, they Rod Serling, the original creator of the show, had battles with CBS over the length of the show. They pressured him for years to make the show an hour long. So, because if you have a show an hour long, that's more ad revenue for the network. So with this, CBS is getting their wish of having a more hour-long episodic series. The only thing is that the problem with that, with Twilight Zone, is that it makes you kind of know what's going to happen right off the bat with the episode. So you feel like it runs the risk of becoming a little repetitious as you're going through the episode. I mean, when you have the economy of a half hour, there's more you can kind of wring out of that in terms of the atmosphere and in terms of the story and the tension. I think that definitely, I feel like there was a reason why Serling made the episodes a half hour, but making it an hour as they're doing with this new one, because it seems like that's going to be the standard for the CBS All Access. I thought it was decent, and I thought at least the comedian episode was different enough, but I feel like the fact that it's like an hour long, and I feel like the other aspect of it is that there's probably, it doesn't seem like the show's really defined itself, like it has like a definitive idea of itself, other than the fact that Jordan Peele is the new Rod Serling in terms of the host, which I thought he was alright with. He was decent as that. But I think the show's going to need some time to grow. I mean, if people stick with it, then it's very possible that the show will find its own identity and really be something that will make it stand apart from, I mean, not to completely replicate the original series, but to be its own thing. And I think that's very, very important when you have something of a long brand like the Twilight Zone. Tell me what you think.
No, I definitely see what you were saying with even definitely Jordan Peele doing the Rod Serling voice. He's
yes.
You're in the Twilight Zone. Like,
yeah.
Dude, you don't speak like that. But he is a comedian. He does impersonations. He's done Obama before, so he could pretty much do it all, really.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do sort of agree that maybe it needs a way to define itself a little bit more. But here's the counter argument to that. Because maybe it is an hour long, you are seeing things, you may be able to predict the plot. You may be able to. Rocco's a smart guy, of course.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So, but for people that don't, you're really seeing the story unfold in a longer time frame. So when that emotional weight hits, it's powerful.
True.
And at the very end of the episode, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not that kind of guy.
Right.
It hits you very, very hard. Even though I predicted exactly what was going to happen at the very end. I had this thought. I felt smart for predicting it. I patted myself on the back.
Right.
And even saying that, I felt such a big emotional hit. And I think that may have helped with that hour-long thing.
True.
Also, you are getting some swearing in it.
Yes.
Rod Serling never touched that. Of course,
Yes.
it was way back when before
Premium cable.
Yes, it was a much more family-friendly show. Now that this is a streaming service and you have adults going to the Twilight Zone brand and the Star Trek brand, things could be a little more mature. So that's at least my logic behind that. I think that it was a very powerful episode, a very good episode, and
does it make you want to watch more episodes, though?
I think so. I do think so. I mean, I definitely liked the actor who was starring in it. He was the leading role in The Big Sick.
Yes.
So he's already a comedian. So the fact that he was a comedian, this was kind of perfect.
Yes, that was very true.
And I'm sure casting will be spot on from there on out. I'm looking forward to the Twilight Zone. More so than Star Trek Discovery, so that's saying something. That's coming from a guy that wears a Star Trek hat. So, okay, that's my opinion with Twilight Zone. Any last final remarks, Rocco?
I think, to be fair, when you have a television show, it takes time to grow. Everything needs to gel. Whether it's the writers, the cast, things don't automatically kind of coalesce right away. So, I think by the chance that the show does really well for CBS All Access, I think it'll give itself a chance to find its own groove and to define itself. I mean, like, you know, having Jordan Peele as the executive producer will definitely steer the show in a good direction and give it its own identity. And I think that that's very, very important for, like I said, a television show that's had a long history like the Twilight Zone. So I think in due time, I think that the show could find its way. I mean, definitely if people are curious about it, but I'm sure they will be considering it's, you know, a classic brand like that, then I think it's, I guess, worth their while to check it out.
All right, Rocky, thank you so much for being on the segment. It's good talking about Twilight Zone for once. The fact that it's new now is just incredible. So stay tuned, guys, for more Halftime Howie goodness with Big Time Brandon.
I like it. That was good.